What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 32 of Lobbing Scorchers. This is Ari Lillianwall. I'm joined virtually here by producer Noah. Noah, say what's up to the people.
It's always a good day when it's not an L pod, Ari. You know, some people don't want to hear
It's
it,
true. I
but
like that.
it's not an
I
L
like
pod.
that positive outlook. We got another doozy of a show for you today, folks. The Seattle Sounders drew the LA Galaxy 0-0 at Lumen Field last night in an absolutely riveting display of attacking soccer from both clubs, exactly as I predicted on the preview show. I mean, it was wild out there. Just great chances, flying back and forth, dynamic attacking play. There was one point though where I thought I was watching Real Madrid play against Barcelona at the apex of both of their powers. So truly incredible stuff. Can't wait to break that down. And then we're going to talk about some other stuff too. The Columbus Crew have made it to the Concacaf Champions Cup final. Should you root for them? We're going to talk about that. Lionel Messi smashed a couple more MLS records, and it undermined my content creating venture. I've got a funny little story for you guys about that one. So it's it wasn't the most exciting Sounders game of all time, but we're still going to have a fun show here. Before we get into all that, I want to do the standard housekeeping at the top of the show. The first thing I wanted to do was thank our surprisingly lengthy list of new paid subs. Noah, we've got a lot of
Yeah.
people here. Once again, can't emphasize enough how much we appreciate everyone who's signed up for that. I'm going to just go down the list here. We've got Owen Mason. Thank you, Owen. David Rodriguez. We got Christopher Maley coming in with a $10 sub. Noah, I think you said you knew Christopher somehow.
Yeah, shout out Christopher.
You're
You're
the
the
goat
goat.
for
The trading card
you're our
goat.
very first $10 sub, so that's much appreciated. We've got Bill Breitenbach. We've got Mike Lentini. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of these names. We got Aaron B. and we've got Derek Richards. Thank all you guys so much for subscribing. And then I think that was all the ones for the new ones, but we've also got Sounder Naves. We've got Dan Pavetto. We've got my guy Mike Standish, Ryan Shane, Eric Stanley, my nephews, CJ Miles Marinakis. We've got Andy Hill, Ian Mitchell, and Greg Hoker. I want to give a special shout out to Greg because he was the first one to sub, and he kind of kickstarted the momentum on this. So shout out to you, Greg. But we're up to 16 active subscribers now. We really appreciate it, guys. And I was going to set a goal. We're up to 16. I'm setting a goal of 50 right now. Help us on the drive to 50 subs.
Ooh, yes.
And it really, the more we get, the more it motivates us to continue churning out this content. And the more we get, I would say, like we might start churning these out even more regularly if we're incentivized as such. So thank you guys so much. It's honestly, I mean, no, we were talking about it off air a couple of days ago, but it's kind of just like mind blowing how the response we've gotten both in terms of listenership and then when we plug the paid subs every time we get a couple more. So thank you so much to our listeners and subscribers. I also want
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we are so like every single time we get a sub, we are giddy. We're
Yeah.
like children on Christmas.
It's like the biggest
or
endorphin
Hanukkah.
I can get.
Yeah, literally, exactly.
So yeah, thank you guys for that. And I also I wanted to plug our new YouTube page again. We're trying to grow our presence on there, and the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube is at 33 subscribers right now. That's not enough. I'm setting that goal at 100 subs. I want triple digits on that. It's frankly, it's 33 subs, man. Like that's tough for me to see. I need that up above triple digits. So if you could, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't yet, sub to the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube. We gotta grow those numbers. And thank you to everyone who already has subbed to that. We honestly I joke, but we've got a little bit of solid momentum on there right now, and we're racking views. We're getting more subs every day. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed to that as well. Before we get into this riveting Sounders game, Noah, I do have, unfortunately, something sad to report, which is that I don't know the rules of the sport that I cover. I'm going to have to, unfortunately, run a little correction from the last episode on the Stephen Fry dog so red card getting overturned. We were talking about it on the last show, and I was saying that if that play at DC United was called a foul, it would have to be a dog so red. And so they were essentially like, I didn't understand like how it could be a foul and a penalty, but not a red card. That didn't make sense to me. But it turns out that the rule is that if you're making a play on the ball, but you end up fouling the guy, which is what happened, the correct call in that scenario actually should have been a foul and a penalty, but just a yellow card and not a red. I didn't know that. I thought anytime you have a dog so scenario, it was just like an auto red. So I had a few people. There was a couple people in the YouTube comments who I think pointed that out. I got a couple tweets about that. Fair play. If I ever make a mistake like that on the show, it's called lobbing scorchers for a reason. Like sometimes I just get on the mic here and I pop off even when I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is an example of that happening, and I'll always put my hand up and admit it if I get something wrong. So yeah, the stuff and fry play should have been a penalty, a foul, penalty, and a yellow. Which it frankly doesn't make that sequence any less frustrating, because they would have had the penalty kick, but Seattle would have at least still had 11 guys. So definitely all around unfortunate between Stephen Fry getting sent off, retroactively overturned, and then me incorrectly relaying the rules on the show. Noah, you were trying to victory lap me both in the YouTube comments and on the group chat. I award you no points for that
Correct.
because you didn't know this double jeopardy rule either. If you had pointed that out in real time, I would give you that one. But I don't like. I feel like I don't actually feel that bad for not knowing that rule because it's a pretty weird play. It's a bit of a like freak situation, and I've never seen that. I've never seen that exact play on a ball over the top where you have the goalkeeper who commit a penalty kick foul, which to me looked like dog so. But like there's this weird kind of wrinkle there where if it can be reasonably perceived that he's making a play on the ball, which I think if you watch that replay, there is that reasonable perception there. It's a penalty, but a yellow card and you don't get sent off. So anyway,
It's a good rule, regardless. Like
it makes
even if maybe neither of us knew how to do it or knew what it was. Like I think it was. It's the right call. It's the right call.
well, yeah, but they didn't make the right call on the field.
They did not make the right call. They retroactively
They retroactively
made
made the right call, and I have no grievances about that, having actually learned the rules of the sport that I cover. Okay,
There's too many rules, Ari. There's
it
too
gets
many.
so
We should have
convoluted with
less.
this stuff. I don't
Yeah.
feel bad. Let's get into this Sounders game, Noah. Just get it out of the way. I think I said on Twitter when I was collecting your guys' questions that I don't plan on spending all that much time on this game. But we'll probably get on a big old tangent about it. But I would say out of all the frustrating matches that we've watched this season, this one against the LA Galaxy at Lumen Field last night might have been the most frustrating, just in terms of how it played out for Seattle. But let's talk about the lineup reaction first. To be fair, I think this was exactly how I would run it. I was excited to see Obed Vargas playing right mid in this game, and I thought it went pretty well again. After he dominated in Philly, where starting the game, he started the game in the deeper lying midfield spot in that game, but he was moved up a line in this game where he had played a little bit previously this season, and I think that's an example of something. We've been asking quite a bit on this show for different wrinkles. Maybe moving a guy like that. Obed's spent most of his career as a defensive midfielder, and I've liked what I've seen from him playing up a line. I thought that he was dominant in the Philly game. I mean, the title of the last episode was I think aptly Obed Vargas is the greatest player alive, which, we're being slightly facetious, but he had a dominant game in that. So I liked the move from Schmetz to move him up a line there. You had right back Christian Roldan out of necessity with his brother Alex Roldan suspended for this game for his red card against the Whitecaps. And then with the front four, you have Albert Resnack at the 10, flanked by Jordan Morris, and Obed with Raul up top. So, I had really no grievances with the lineup. I like the JP Atencio double pivot. The back line was how I would run it. So me personally, I don't think there's all that different of a way I would align that up. There's the anti-Rusnak brigade who probably would have put Christian at the 10, started Cody Baker, all that stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't subscribe to that. So in this scenario, I thought they lined it up correctly. The Galaxy were shorthanded for this game, which that was another thing I kind of bungled on the preview show. Although one of the injuries to Ricky Puig happened after we recorded, to be fair. But Dejan Joveljic, who I was talking about when we were previewing it as if we were going to play, he's actually been he was like hurt for a week before that. So he was never going to play in this game. But I thought the big news was that Ricky Puig didn't end up playing in this game because, I mean, that guy, he's really like the undisputed engine for everything that the LA Galaxy do. And I think you saw that in this game. Like, without him, as much love as I give to Joey Paints and as much as I enjoy watching him play and think that he's one of the best DPs in MLS right now, without Ricky Puig pulling the strings, they didn't really have all that much in attack. And Joey Paints and Gabriel Peck were pretty much neutralized. And then without Joveljic too, they didn't have anyone who could finish whatever chances that they did create. So the Galaxy were down pretty bad, but like it honestly makes it more frustrating because they were kind of ripe for the taking. They did not really get especially close to getting their offense running like they're normally able to run it when that front four is all healthy. So really, like all you needed to do is score one goal, and you probably win this game.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what makes it very tilting that Seattle couldn't get that done. But Seattle's defense did keep a clean sheet pretty easily. Joey Paints didn't do all that much. But Seattle's execution offensively, particularly in transition, was just way off all game. I thought they actually did a decently good job at getting a lot of transition opportunities, which when you're playing a Galaxy team that is shorthanded and likely okay with scraping out a 0-0, getting out in transition and trying to hurt them on the break is what you should be doing. So they did a good job winning the ball. They did a good job of getting out and running. But
They possessed really well too.
and yeah, they possess decently well. But I thought really the biggest chances that they had to score in this game were in transition, and they were not especially close to finishing off any of those buildups. They had some good buildups, that's why it was so frustrating, because there was a decent, once again, it was kind of classic Sounders, like there's a decent amount of good ball that was actually played. But like I thought the execution in transition was like worse than it usually is. Like it was,
Mm-hmm.
they would just get to the end of it and they would either flub the chance or it's just too conservative, Noah. Like it's not aggressive enough.
Yeah, I
Like they're
agree.
not when they're getting into those final actions in the final third and in or near the penalty box. There's too much like slowing it up and then recycling possession and then dinking it around. And by that time, LA's defense is reset, and you haven't capitalized on the opportunity that you had in transition in a way that actually got you a good look. I thought Leo Chu had the best chance of the game on one of those transition opportunities where a ball kind of snuck through the area and he was wide open and he skied the shot. And it's just one of those
He
ones where
rolled
like,
on to.
if you have it saved, that's one thing, but like, can you at least get it on target, my guy? Like I don't know. It's
Yeah, it was so bad.
but
The whole stadium was like they saw that play in slow motion, and everyone was like getting up out of their seats around me, and then he just absolutely bricks it into the stands, and everyone was just laid back in their seat, hands on their face, like, oh my god, is this not the perfect personification of the Seattle
That was
Sounders in the last two
it
seasons?
was I think that was the moment I realized that they are not scoring in this game. I mean, to be fair to Leo Chu, like I didn't think anyone in the front four really covered themselves in glory in this game. I thought Jordan had a bit of a rough one. As much as I don't really subscribe to the anti-Rustak brigade, I didn't think he had a particularly good game. I didn't think Raul had a particularly good game. So it was just another tough go on offense. And, I don't really know what to say about that at this point, other than that it's just something that we've seen too much this season. And it manifested itself in this game. But I think the unfortunate thing is, like, you're coming off a game against Philly where you actually you scored 3 goals, and you had a pretty good performance against DC United despite the red card that got rescinded and all that. So there's an opportunity here to build on those things and establish some momentum on offense that has been so sorely lacking this year. And I mean, a 0-0 against a shorthanded Galaxy team who couldn't get particularly close to scoring themselves. I thought Nuhu pretty much pocketed Joey Paints again. That's 2 games
Yep.
in a row against the Galaxy where Nuhu's pocketed Joey Paints. And I guess it was encouraging to see the defense play well, but like I don't really know how much to read into that with this Galaxy team with the personnel that they put out there. It did kind of underscore to me like how much the Galaxy really do rely on Ricky Puig. Like they really didn't
Yeah.
seem like they had anything going without him. So
Which is interesting because I think like how to not to translate that directly to the Sounders, but how much of that is kind of reflected on how the Sounders have been playing without De La Vega.
yeah, I mean, we haven't seen De La Vega play enough yet to know if he's has the same type of impact that Ricky Puig does. But I mean, like I knew that Ricky Puig was one of the best players in the league, but like I've been watching a lot of Galaxy this year with that front four all healthy, and it's really like it's like an unstoppable freight train when they get running, and it was a very very stark contrast. They were not able to replicate that at all. There was one kind of cool and fun thing for Seattle in this game, which was we had an MLS debut.
Yeah.
Georgie Menungu of Tacoma Defiance. He got on the field in this game. And I can't say I've watched him play all that much. I haven't watched that much TAC D this year. But I was into it, Noah. He was out there.
Yeah.
I liked that he seemed fearless, Like he didn't seem
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed by the moment. There was a couple of sequences where he got off and running, and he was making stuff happen. I'm down to see more of him at this point. Um, that's the kind of thing that,
He can't be worse than Jordan.
yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where like you might as well start throwing stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. So I was glad that Schmetz got him out there. I thought that it was kind of a fun little storyline, a fun respite from an entire game of watching the team struggle to generate offense, and I thought he acquitted himself well. But needless to say, the squad is now 2-3-5, 11th in the West. 13 goals on the season, which, I mean, I'll just say it's not enough goals in terms
No.
of the amount of goals that
Half those goals came
from the Montreal game.
from Montreal and 2 games in Philly.
Yeah. So if you add up the Montreal game and the Philly game, that's 8 of their 13 goals, and they have 5 goals in the rest of their games. I don't think it's any secret to anyone who's been watching this team, or frankly, anyone who plays for or coaches this team, that the offensive output has not been high enough. We've talked about it on this show ad nauseum. So that's why I didn't really want to spend all that great deal amount of time in this game. I don't feel like there's all that much different to take away from it from a lot of the other games that we watched this year. So yeah, I mean, unless you have any other broader takeaways from what we saw at Lumen Field yesterday, I figure we can just jump into the Open Cup preview and take people's questions. But
Yeah, I just had a couple of things that I thought that I personally noticed is I thought that the Sounders defended really well in transition on the counterattack. I understand that Ricky Puig wasn't there and that honestly probably if Ricky Puig was there it would be a 3-0 game, but still I thought that on the counterattack, which the Galaxy absolutely love to spam, they did well to defend that. I thought Nuhu, I'm a Nuhu hater apparently, maybe I'm just a realist here, but I thought Nuhu played well. He literally like Joey Paintsill did nothing this entire game.
for two games in a row,
I know
for two
Ari
games in a row.
Yeah, Ari is ignoring it because he doesn't want to admit that his goat is falling apart. Nuhu pocketed his
I
goat.
already acknowledged that. I already acknowledged that earlier in this show. Like
I needed it to be brought up even more. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I don't know. I think also like let's talk about Obed again. Obed absolutely had an incredible performance, and I think
really
we
good,
found
man.
that
He was really good.
Yeah.
Like
he
him.
it's not his fault that we're losing. He's putting in balls that should be scored every single time, and it's like no one can finish that.
Like a few of the good chances that Seattle did have in this game, Obed was central to, and it's kind of a small thing, but one thing that I really like about him, and this is even dating back to like last year, but he's really good at drawing fouls. So he's got like the Nico Ladero in him, where you remember, like I think out of all of Nico Ladero's great qualities, he's probably the best foul drawer I've like ever watched. He's so good at that.
Yeah.
And Obed like learned that quality, I think, from him. But so he, like, you saw it on the play where he won the penalty in the Philly game, and then he won another free kick from a really great spot in this game. So that's more kind of like a offhand thing that I've noticed about Obed's game. But like, I really think they might be onto something with playing him higher up the field as an attacking player. I feel like, I don't know, it's very stark to me how much more of an impact he's been making on games while playing more aggressively and just with a more attacking mindset than he does like when he's playing it back in the midfield, which I know in the Philly game he was playing in the double pivot, I believe, to start, but like it just felt like he was playing more aggressive. And I think like he's able to manifest that a little more when he's playing at right mid there. So I don't know. I just think I think that's honestly one takeaway that I have from the last couple weeks that could beget some positive momentum moving forward, is just that, like, just how well Obed's playing right now and how they seem to have kind of a revelation with like moving where he's been playing.
Yeah, I agree. And the last one, Moose put up a stinker, but it happens. So
Yeah, but and you know what was unfortunate is that he actually got subbed in like pretty early. You know how you talking about how subbing him in at like 87 doesn't really do anything, because he was on with enough time to make an impact in this game. And you know, I don't really know I don't know who to blame for it, but I mean the finishing in this game was just wasn't good, man. Wasn't good.
No, not at all. We can move on to greener pastures, the United States Open Cup.
Yeah, so the Sounders start their U.S. Open Cup venture on Wednesday against USL Championship side Louisville City FC, who I believe, I mean, Noah, you were saying they're one of the best teams in the USL, I believe.
I mean, they're perennially.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing this year. I think that's like I've watched New Mexico United in the USL. I don't really follow anyone else, so I don't really know how good Louisville is.
Looks like they're second in the East.
Okay, so yeah, they're good again. Like you said, they're perennially one of the better teams in the second division, and
they've scored double the amount of goals as the Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, so I guess like the takeaway from that is, Seattle's probably going to be fielding a bit of a rotated lineup in this game with the fixture congestion that's going on. And so, remember a couple years ago when they lost to Sac Republic? Like
I
these
do.
games,
I think I was at that game.
these games are not a given when you're playing them at a congested part of your schedule, and you're playing a rotated lineup. And these USL teams are hungry. Like they want to win this game bad. Like especially anytime they go up against an MLS team, they're going to be going for it. So, like my prediction for this game, I know like I'm coming off a prediction week where I said this would I was hyping this Galaxy game up as super exciting, and I specifically said that it wouldn't be a 0-0, and then it was 0-0. So I don't know how much weight my predictions hold right now, but my prediction for this game would be that I can almost guarantee you that it's not going to be a situation where Seattle like blows out and overwhelms Louisville City. Like Seattle's going to be fielding a rotated lineup. So I think you're going to have some younger guys in there, and Louisville City, they're a really good USL team, and they're going to be busting their ass for this game. Like these games are kind of like their Super Bowl. Like
Yeah.
they really
It's
are.
a chance for them to win a lot of money. Like,
Yeah,
they can pay.
also like I think there's a lot of stock that they put in, proving themselves against a team that's a league above them. Like you see that, like you do see the MLS team blow out the USL team in this scenario sometimes, but just with how Seattle is playing right now, struggling to score goals anyway, and the fact that it's going to be a rotated lineup with the fixture congestion, I mean, I think this is probably going to be a really close game, and I think it's probably going to piss a lot of people off because a lot of people go into a game against a USL team and think that Seattle should automatically blow them out, like blow them off the field because they're an MLS team. And I'm cautioning you right now, like I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong, and maybe Seattle asserts their dominance here, but having seen how these kind of go in the past, I don't know. I think it's going to be like a grinded out game decided by one goal. What do you think, Noah?
I think that it's going to be way more interesting than any Sounders games that we've been watching, just simply because we're actually going to see a bunch of young players on the field. Like, does that mean it's going to be a better end product? Probably not. I mean, I think that a lot of the, I don't know, a lot of the upside of these young players is shown when they're playing with complementary players, like not to say that Obed's not talented if you put him in another squad, but he also has really talented players around him that elevate his level and his game. But that said, I think it could be interesting. I think this could be the best the Sounders have looked all season when you put in this, scrappy rotated lineup of people who have, most of them are probably having to sit on the bench and watch this team lose game after game. I'd be pissed off, and I would think that this is my chance to go out and prove that I deserve a spot. People after 10 minutes of Georgie playing are like, sign this guy as a contracted replacement Morris immediately. So, if I'm Georgie, I'm going out there and I'm playing my ass off. So I think the Sounders will win this one. And I think it could get out of hand. I'm going to go opposite of Ari.
Okay,
I'm on the positive train today.
I would be down to watch that. If for no other reason, like I think it would be cathartic to just watch them take it to a team, sort of like they were to the Union before they let them back in the game. Like that first half against the Union was, I was very surprised I couldn't believe what I was watching. So if they could do that to Louisville City in this game, that would be nice. I mean, one thing about these Open Cup games is they can often get a little hectic and crazy. So I'm hoping it'll be fun to watch, even if it's not like just Seattle running all over them. I'm hoping it's at least like entertaining and we get some goals. I don't even really care who scores them. I just want to see some goals.
Paul Rothrock is our only hope, Ari. Okay, we're bringing it back because Paul Rothrock should be starting. Put him at the 9, and he will win you the U.S. Open Cup. That's my
He'll
take.
probably, like, if he actually gets his run in this game, he will probably score a goal or two. Like, not a bit. Like,
No, I agree. It's gonna be the Obed connection too. I think Obed 2 assists.
So yeah, that game is coming up on Wednesday. Let's dive into questions, Noah, and then we can. I had one other section, and then winners and losers, and then we can call it a wrap. But let's go ahead and do some quick hitters here from the ones that I collected last night from you, the people.
Heck yeah! From Greg, he asks, "Do you think that Rusnak is a DP number 10? I don't think so. Tam at best, but not starting in the spot. The Rusnak slander has continued. Ari, what do you think?"
Yeah, the anti-Rusnak brigade has been out in full force these last couple weeks. I mean, I just personally don't subscribe to it that much. I think it's, when the team is struggling on offense, I get why he would become a target of ire, but like I've always rated Rusnak as a pretty good MLS player, dating back to his days with Real Salt Lake. Like when him and Damir Kreilach played together, they always made Real Salt Lake a really tough team. And the other thing that I think this is what doesn't get acknowledged in this whole debate, Noah. Okay, and this is important, and I want the anti-Rusnak brigade to listen to this. Like, you have to, when it comes to Albert Rusnak and like why he's on the team, you have to remember why he got signed to begin with, which was to make a play for Concacaf Champions League. All right. They signed him because they thought they were in a spot where they could actually compete for it, and they thought he could help them get over the top. And that turned out to be correct. They won CCL with Albert Rusnak, not only on this team, but playing an important role in that tournament. They don't win CCL without Rusnak. Like, do you understand that? Like, you have to like come at this debate from acknowledging that off the top, in my opinion, because that fact, and it's a fact, that validates the signing when they made it, like right there. Like if you grant that they probably don't win CCL without him, which I don't think they do. He scored a really big goal in the series against New York City. He was pretty selfless in how he changed positions, and a lot of the criticism of Albert Rusnak centers on how he hasn't really stuffed the stat sheet with Seattle as much as he did with RSL, but most of the time that he's played for this team, he was playing deeper. Like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills sometimes where people harp so much on his goals and assists, but he wasn't. He's been playing like further back where you don't get those numbers. That's just like not how it works. So he's only really gotten a chance to consistently play as a 10 this season. Like, has it worked super well so far? I mean, no, like the offense isn't playing super well, but A, you can't only blame that on one guy. And B, I still don't think there's really enough of a sample of him playing that position to really say how effective it is or isn't. Like, it hasn't really looked that good so far this year, but like, I don't know how much just to blame that on one guy. Like, blaming it all on one guy is, in my opinion, a little ridiculous. And also just the anti-Rusnak brigade, why don't you guys ever acknowledge the fact that he was a key part of why this team won Champions League? I mean, if you're going to bring up the flip side of it, I think you have to acknowledge that as well. And that's just my take on it. But like I've always thought he's a pretty damn good MLS player. Like I was a big fan. I was a big fan of the signing because I watched him and Kreilach for years on RSL, and I thought they were like one of the best kind of 1-2 punches in the league. And I was excited to see what Rusnak could do with the Sounders. And I would say if you look at how this season has gone, it's underwhelmed compared to what I hoped it would be. But like he also helped them win CCL, so I'm not really going to complain that much about it. Sorry, that was a rant, but.
No, I love it. I think the biggest argument for not even haters, but just general people looking at this roster is Rusnak a DP or is he a TAM player? That I also want to know. what your take is on that, Ari.
And that's okay. So that's where I would acknowledge that the brigade might have a little bit of a point. Like I really, if I'm honestly assessing it, and as much as I feel compelled to defend him sometimes, because I think he gets a little unfairly targeted. Like when you think of him compared to the super elite dynamic tens that we've seen in the league the last couple years, like I don't think he's been performing at that level, and I think. It is. I mean, it's fair. It's fair to point out that that's an issue with this roster right now. Like, I don't mean to downplay that. I just do think that he's been taking like a lot of heat and a lot of slander, and I think it's like over the top compared to how much of the problems can actually be attributed just to him. Like, if you ever find yourself just targeting and slandering one guy, which I think is an issue with Nuhu too, frankly. Like it just like you gotta look at everyone, man. I think when you're talking about why this team is struggling in attack, there are names that people aren't gonna want to name that you probably should, man. Like I think you gotta look at the whole starting front four from this last game underperformed, including Rusnak. So
Yeah, I don't think Rusnak's the problem, but I do think he is a TAM player, and I do think he still has a lot to bring to this team, and I don't think he's the reason we're losing games, and I don't think he's the reason he generates a lot of chances, and he looks really great on the ball, and there's a lot of times where he gets you out of a jam because he's going to dribble past a defender or two defenders or turn his back, rotate the play, and recycle it out and, continue the attacking play. The fact that we can't put that ball on the net is not his fault. Like, are his shots that good? No, but he's a 10. He's not a pure goal scorer, and that's fine. But regardless, down with the Rusnak slander. Up next to some more slander. It's tough to be so critical of a player when I know there's a lack of options, but Leo Chu is so wildly overrated. Easy money coming in with the heat here. The rate at which he loses possession is outstanding. I like he's attacking minded, but God, his decision making is awful and doesn't pass the cost benefit analysis. So Ari, is Leo Chu fraudulent? That's the question.
oh my god. Well, I've been defending Leo Chu too. Just because, I mean, okay, like I understand and share people's frustration with his decision making. It's comical sometimes, honestly, like watching him try and take guys on and just not make the correct decision with the play that he's making. The only capacity in which I'll defend him is that I do feel like he's one of the only guys on this team that makes plays. Like at least he's trying. He doesn't. It's a small percentage of the time that what he's trying succeeds, but he at least is making runs. He at least gets on the stat sheet sometimes, So for me personally, I put Leo Chu like lower down on my blame list as well. But like there was a couple instances in this game where like the decision making when he's taking guys on, and then also just the not being able to get that wide open shot on target, where it's just like, yeah.
It's a tough one. He shows flashes of brilliance, and then, he fizzles out. It happens. It's kind of, but what are you going to do when he is your starter? That's tough. That is tough. Nate here has a scorcher for us. What can Brian do to give these older players a spark? The young and new guys are playing with desire, but it feels like the vets don't play with desire or creativity. Is this a Pedro de la Vega waiting room ? We chatted about this a little bit earlier in the season about how maybe there is a continued CCL hangover and, people like Jordan and Christian, they realize they have reached their ceiling. So what do you think, Ari? What if you take over the clipboard of Brian Schmetzer, are you bashing in the heads of these old players with it?
It's funny because I thought during the Philly game, you kind of you kind of finally started to see a team that was sort of playing like they had nothing to lose. And Schmetz even said in his post-game press conference, he was like, I feel like these players feel like it's them against everybody right now. And I was like, okay, that's cool to hear. At the same time, I mean, they kind of put themselves against everybody by not being able to score goals and picking up a bunch of red cards. But like, yeah, that's if that's what you need to foster some motivation and some fire and get them playing with more energy, then yeah, sure, like go ahead and lean on that. And I thought that's sort of like that's not a bad mentality to try and lean on in a situation like this where we come on this podcast every week. Every time that they get shut out or get red cards, we have our fun with it. Like the discourse on social media around the team is largely negative. And when you're in a situation like that, I think it does kind of give you nothing to lose. And it makes you like, I thought in the Philly game that like that might have been a reason why they started playing well and started scoring goals, because they were kind of just like, fuck it. Like, everyone's bagging on us. Everyone's making fun of us. We're picking up dumb red cards. We're not scoring goals. Let's just like go out there and throw down as hard as we can. And sometimes when you're playing like that, it actually works. You kind of they're channeling a little bit of the underdog mentality. And I thought that everyone who was starting in that Philly game in the first half, they were playing with some of that kind of like fire and effort and energy that you're talking about. They just it just didn't carry over to the Galaxy game. So I don't really know how you channel that consistently. It was nice. It's been nice to see it in spurts, and I don't personally think that effort is really what I would boil this team's struggles down to. Like I know it's easy to point to that when results aren't going your way on the field. I see a team that's definitely like, it's not like they're not trying or that they've quit on the coach. I definitely don't get that sense at all. It's just they're not producing consistently enough right now. So I don't know. I don't know if that was a good answer, but
No, I think that's solid. It's you can only do so much as a coach. You can only do so much as a coach to motivate players. You can only do so much as a coach to fix mental things. That's like I think people put a lot of weight on coaching, and we've talked about it a lot. Like, what is Brian Schmetzer supposed to literally do everything? Is he supposed to magically heal every ACL that gets torn? Like, I don't know. I don't know what Brian could do to like completely fix this. Is he without blame? No, but if guys are quitting on you, like, it's your decision to bench them, but it's hard to get them to, like, it's not, I don't know. I have a hard time knowing or figuring out or blaming Brian for a ton of stuff like that. But you know what I will applaud Brian for is the next question that we're going into, which is Georgie flashed more danger in attack than Jordan Morris has all season. Is he our best left wing playing in Tacoma? Question mark. What I will add, Ari, is this sample size versus reality? Because he only played 10 minutes. What do you think?
yeah, I mean he only played 10 minutes, so I don't really know if I'm on the train of like he should be an unquestioned first choice starter based off that 10-minute cameo. It was fun though. Like I'm down to see him play more. I really like I think you're in a situation where you may as well start giving guys cameo opportunities like that. Why not?
Yeah, I like that a lot. And let's finish it off here with 3 games this week. A point is a point, but it gets harder the next 2 matches. Is it bad? Was this draw really that bad in the long term of things, Ari?
I mean, it was a pretty bad result, yeah, because if you take it in the context of all the other results that they've had this season and the fact that I think the thing that bugs me about it is the Galaxy were there for the taking. They didn't have their best player, Ricky Puig. They didn't have one of the best number 9s in the league, Dejan Jovic. Like all you needed to do was score 1 goal and you win this game, and you couldn't do it despite having a lot of pretty good chances. So it's definitely this was 2 points dropped, much more than it was a point gained.
Yeah, I agree. And just to add, our boy Mike here, he had a funny little comment and says, "Name the zebra Jordan Morris because he's lost." For
Ooh.
those of you who get the zebra reference that were loose in North Bend. But thank you all for your questions. We love it when you lob your scorchers. Thank you for actually dropping some, even though we didn't lose. So
Yeah, no, agreed. I always appreciate getting the discourse flowing in my mentions after these games. Even if we don't get to your question or you don't even have a question, you just have a take. Um, I think it's a good way to check the pulse of the streets and how everyone is feeling about the squad, even in these difficult times. Okay, Noah, for the next segment, I had a question to pose for debate that I was going to have us talk about. Okay, and what I wanted to talk about is the question of should you be rooting for the Columbus Crew? The Columbus Crew are in the Concacaf Champions Cup, as it's now known, final, and have an opportunity to join the Seattle Sounders as the only MLS clubs who have ever won the modern incarnation of the tournament. And so I think the question comes down to, is it better to be the exclusive holders of that accomplishment, which, Seattle, as we all know, famously won in 2022? Or do you want them to win? Like, are you okay with them joining that rarefied air and pushing MLS forward as a whole and all that stuff? But I think before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Crew because I feel like I've sold them a little bit short on this show this season. When I talk about the best teams in the league, or at least my favorite teams to watch, I've talked about Inter Miami a lot, obviously. I've talked about the Galaxy a lot, but the Crew are arguably the best team in the league right now. They're reigning MLS Cup champions. Um, they have a really good, really dominant roster with DPs that hit Cucho Hernandez, Diego Rossi, Darlington Nagbe. That's as good of a trio as you could hope for in MLS. Patrick Schulte is one of the best goalkeepers in the league, and their run in Champions Cup this year has been really impressive. But I think what truly honestly separates the Crew, aside from Cucho and all the great players that they have, Wilfred Nancy is the best coach in MLS. I don't think it's particularly close. There's a couple names that you could put up there, but I've talked a couple times on this show about how I'm kind of agnostic on the effect of coaching, and I don't really think who's technically the coach always makes as much of a difference as people think it does compared to the roster that you have, which I think is the primary thing that drives winning. But like every once in a while, like there are a select group of coaches that actually give you a tangible advantage in every game you go into, just because of how well they're able to impart and have their players execute their tactics, and how their tactical understanding of the game is kind of just like a step above everyone else that they're going against. So there's a few coaches on the global stage that I think are considered that tier of coach. Jurgen Klopp with Liverpool comes to mind. I think Pep comes to mind. Alex Ferguson is a guy I think who people considered like that in his day. Just guys who understand the game so well that every team that they're coaching has an actual advantage over the other team because of who the coach is. That's pretty rare, and I think it's pretty clear that Wilfred Nancy is in that category. I think probably more than any coach in MLS right now. And there's been a lot of speculation that he's probably not long for MLS, that he might go overseas at some point. I could see it happening just because, I mean, if you look at his background before he got to the Crew, he had CF Montreal punching way above their weight. And that's why he ended up getting the Columbus job. And now he's right on the cusp of winning Champions Cup. So I'll tell you my perspective on it first, Noah. I kind of am rooting for the Crew. It's sort of a win-win because if they choke and lose, then that's fine with me. And Seattle remains the only ones to win Champions League, as it was called when they won it. So like I would be totally fine if the Crew lose. But for me, it comes down to a couple things. Number one, like just their whole team, their organization, the brand of ball that they play, it's worthy of respect to me. I respect Wilfred Nancy. I respect Cucho. I respect Diego Rossi. Darlington Nagbe, I know he's a former Timber, but like you can't not respect that guy and what he's accomplished in the league. And
Hey, don't forget about Morris.
yeah, Aiden, yeah, that's good shout. Aiden Morris is one of the best young homegrown players in the league. Aiden Morris kind of owns Seattle. I hate to say it. Like during the
True.
COVID MLS Cup, like he probably put in as good a shift against Nico Ladero as any player as I've ever seen. So when it's a team that I respect their players, I respect their coach, I respect their organization and how they do things. I don't mind that seeing them succeed in this situation. But like honestly, more than that, Noah, I also wouldn't mind seeing the pundits get a little bit of their comeuppance for the big victory lap that they took about Seattle having an easy path and it being like indisputable proof that the gap between MLS and Liga MX has not actually closed and all that. If they published a big column about that with that victory lap and then the Crew actually end up winning Champions Cup, that would be a pretty funny way for that take to age. So that's another reason that I'm okay. I would be okay with the Crew winning this thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I've never been offended by the Columbus Crew. One, because their original logo was kind of the most fire logo in all of MLS, right behind the crayon flag of the Revolution. I'm not offended by the Crew winning. We already won it. Like, let's spread the wealth. Let's, I honestly, if I'm being honest, I want to see the Columbus Crew in the Club World Cup because I kind of want to just see how hard they ball out. Like, it's a good thing for the league, which like I know that a lot of people don't give a shit about what's good for the league, but it is good for the league and it's cool. It's like this team is incredibly fun to watch. I love Wilfred Nancy. I would honestly pay any amount of money to have him be the coach in Seattle. And frankly, I think the biggest signing this year was not a player, but it was the fact that the Columbus Crew were able to re-sign Wilfred Nancy to another year. So yeah, I'm so for it. Who cares? Like I think also it bodes well for the Sounders. If the Sounders were the ones to have broken the glass ceiling to say like, hey, this can be done. This can be done. Here is a model for how you do it. Here's a model for going into Mexico and not losing. And then, you have the Crew absolutely balling out. It's like it doesn't change anything about the Sounders. I don't care for the only ones.
No, it doesn't take, and it doesn't take the shine. What was so cool about Seattle's is that, like, even if another team wins it, like Seattle is still first, and that doesn't, the Crew winning it doesn't change that. So I feel no type of way about another team joining those ranks, and it's Seattle people can still pull the card of like they were chasing Seattle to begin with. Like Seattle walked so Columbus could run, and especially like I don't mind this Columbus team being potentially the one to join those ranks. Like they're deservedly in the final, and you have to give it to them. Like at a certain point, like they deserve the accolades and their status as arguably the top team in the league right now. I still think if you gave a one game final Inter Miami versus Columbus, like I'm taking Inter Miami all day.
I'm taking Columbus.
That's a bad take. Like I'm sorry.
No, I'm taking Columbus.
There's
Easy.
there's no way though. There's just no way. Like I know that it's fun to think of any team in this league beating Inter Miami in a one-off, but like I've seen enough.
New York Red Bulls did it.
The New York Red Bulls just lost to them 6-2, brother.
Yeah, but they beat them 4-0 at their place.
Yeah,
It was
when they weren't healthy. When they weren't healthy, but like, okay. So if you do that hypothetical with Inter Miami as like injured with no Messi, then yeah, I'm taking the Crew. But like if all things are equal and both teams are of relative health, like I'm taking Miami and it wouldn't even be close. But that's actually a good segue. I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah. If you okay, here's
We
another
haven't
one,
been
just
covering
quickly.
CCC. We haven't been covering CCC enough on this show. I kind of let it fall by the wayside. So
Yeah, it's okay. Neither is the MLS.soccer.com. So, that's how it goes. Too much Leagues Cup coverage. Anyway, just being a hater here. No, I'm kidding. The one thing I was going to say, if you hate Inter Miami, absolutely root for the Columbus Crew. If you love the Sounders, absolutely root for the Columbus Crew. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm done with that.
Good shout. Okay, let's get into winners and losers from the latest slate of matches in MLS. Match day 12, I believe. And we just, I have a funny story for this one. We just talked about it, but Inter Miami smashed the New York Red Bulls 6-2, and Lionel Messi broke two MLS records. He had 1 goal, 5 assists. The 5 assists were a single game assist record for MLS. The 6 goal contributions were a single game record for MLS. And I just had a fun time with this game because I was covering the whole slate on the MLSsoccer.com editorial desk, and so I was watching this Miami game. And when Messi got to 1 goal, 2 assists, we were doing a little post, like a running post during the game about it, because I think he gave him multiple goal contributions in like 6 straight games. It was some kind of historical milestone, or I think mainly the post was just like Messi's doing it again. He's going off against the Red Bulls, whatever. But like he got 3 more assists between the 69th and the 81st minute while I was trying to write this post. And every time he gets another assist, it kind of changes the angle. I have to change how many assists are in the post. It changes the like historical implications of it. It changes his numbers for the season. And this guy was I was just like, stop getting assists. Stop. Like, I need you to stop right now. Like, I'm trying to do this content and I can't do it because every time I look up, you have another assist. By the time it's all said and done, he has 5 of them, 6 goal contributions, and broke 2 different MLS records. I mean, that's why I just think there's like a game like that is just why there's no team that's even close to this team right now when they're at their apex. Not even the Crew. Like, it is a different level of ball than any MLS team has ever played. And like 6 goal contributions in 1 game. Like, you don't see that. Like, that's as good as Cucho is, as good as Diego Rossi is, as good as some of the other like players are in this league. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see 6 goal contributions in a game again, like in any league. That's just a crazy crooked number. I still like Luis Suarez had a hat trick. I don't know. It's just it's ridiculous to watch. And like, I hate to spoil how this season is going to go for everyone, but like if this Miami team is healthy, they're winning MLS Cup, and it's not even like there's no one who can stop it. I'm sorry. Like I hate to be that guy, but
I love they did the bit as well, which is, they love to concede the most embarrassing goal possible and then bang in the 3 most disgusting or 6 most disgusting goals you've ever seen.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because the other thing I was going to say is that like we need to stop falling for that. Every time they concede the first goal, everyone's like, "Oh, this team does this team have the defense to really contend in MLS? I mean, their defense is pretty bad. They keep giving up these early goals. How long can they really last?" Like, guys, like, it does, when you can score 4 to 6 goals a game without even trying, it doesn't matter. Like, you can give up 2 to 3 goals and you're still going to win. Like, so let's learn our lesson this time. As soon as they gave up that goal to the Red Bulls, I was nipping it in the bud. Like, in my head, I was like, I mean, it does, like, that's meaningless. Like, the Red Bulls may as well have not even scored that. Like, that gives them 0 advantage. It gives them 0 leg up. It doesn't mean anything. Miami's still going to win this game by multiple goals. And sure enough, they scored 6. So
it is funny that Messi put this up directly after Obed put up a messianic performance. I think, and I'm just, this is just me putting this out here, but I think he saw Obed's performance and he locked in and was like, you know what? I can't let this kid outshine me.
No,
frankly.
it's a good point. We did talk about on the last show how Obed's performance compared to Messi, which I think was a well thought out and well reasoned take.
Correct. Yeah.
And then Messi has 6 goal contributions in a game the game after, so I don't think that
Yeah.
could be a coincidence. Minnesota
Bulletin
United,
board material.
yeah, exactly. Minnesota United beat Atlanta United 2-1 on the road, and they deserve to be highlighted as a winner this week, I think, because they've been one of the best teams in the league this year, up there with Inter Miami on points per game, close to 2 points per game, which is typically like the pace you need to win the Shield. And they've done it without Emmanuel Reynoso, who is missing in Argentina, and Timo Pukki, who was their big DP forward last year. I don't know if he's been hurt or like just not as much in the rotation right now, but he hasn't really been contributing the way that you would think that a DP forward would have to, for especially for this team to succeed. So I guess the reason I bring that up is because like it shows that it can be done. They don't have their DP10 and they're still like one of the better. They're still pulling results and they have one of the better points per games in the league. So like I don't know what Seattle has to do to like pull a similar feat. But Minnesota United is kind of showing that it's possible to overcome personnel challenges in this league. We kind of talk about it in absolutes sometimes, where like, okay, you're missing your number 10. It's all over. Like not always. Eric Ramsey, their new coach, he's doing a good job there. And then I have Nashville SC 4-1 over CF Montreal. They got Walker Zimmerman back. They looked more like themselves defensively, which they hadn't without him. And then Sam Sturridge scored a hat trick, who he's kind of been an underperforming DP9 for them. And it's kind of resulted in Nashville SC not really achieving the heights that a lot of people thought they might after a strong first couple years in MLS. So seeing Walker Zimmerman come back and seeing Sam Sturridge score a hat trick, that's big news for Nashville SC. For the losers, Atlanta United, Noah, Gonzo Pineda, I mean, I think he's on the hot seat.
Gotta be.
A lot of Atlanta United fans have been talking about this for a while, and after this loss at home to Minnesota United, which was their second home loss in a row, the Gonzo out crowd was in full force. I'm kind of partial to Gonzo Pineda. Like, I think he was a pretty sick coach for Seattle, and I tend to blame Carlos Bocanegra more for what's gone on with Atlanta United than I blame the coach. Again, I typically tend to think like with Atlanta United's roster of the last couple years, like you could fire Gonzo Pineda. That's fine. Go for it. Anyone that you put in with that kind of with how that roster has been built, they're probably going to struggle with the exact same stuff. Like, I don't know how much of a difference it really makes, but Atlanta United underachieving again so far this year. Their coach is on the hot seat. The fan base is not happy. I think that's pretty funny, but
it's a good bit.
Feel bad for them. Yeah, it's a good bit.
Bring Gonzo home.
Bring him home.
We need him.
You bring him home. It might come to it at some point. The Portland Timbers are doing just as badly as the Seattle Sounders. I think they have the exact same record now. I know they both have 10 points. They lost 2-0 at Charlotte FC, and I think it's noteworthy just because the Phil Neville era is kind of reeling. I hadn't really been paying that much attention to the Timbies this year. I just kind of assumed that they were doing okay or doing pretty good because they got off to a good start in the first couple weeks. And Phil Neville was getting positive press for the job he was doing there early. It is torpedoed on them. Like they have the same record as Seattle. And it's kind of
score more than Seattle though. Let's be
so
fair.
That's what I was gonna say. They've gotten to that record in a different way. They score a lot more goals, but they've also conceded 10 more goals than Seattle. So their defense is just really bad. But neither the Vancouver Whitecaps are the best Cascadia team, and it's like not even remotely close. Like which I think is kind of sick, honestly. Like
I don't mind that. I
like
it's
Scottish
cool.
Messi and Sartini, and like the Whitecaps have kind of been the Cascadia punching bag over the years. So them getting their due and getting to kind of lord it over us and lord it over Portland. It's fair enough, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like they've earned it. And then one more loser, and then we'll get out of here. LAFC. absolutely bammed on by the San Jose Earthquakes. No respectable MLS club would ever lose to
No.
the San Jose Earthquakes. I
No.
can't fathom it. It would never happen to a club that had any sort of dignity or self-respect. So I mean,
I can't even think of the last time that a club in Major League Soccer lost to the San Jose Earthquake. I mean, just incredibly embarrassing. That is their
it would
only
be
win of the season.
any club that happened to should be absolutely embarrassed.
Relegated.
Turn of events, relegate them.
Yeah.
And of course, we say that because the San Jose Earthquakes have 2 wins now this year. The other of which from this LAFC game was against the Seattle Sounders.
I don't remember that game, Ari. I don't think
I think I might be
I'm gonna
making
have to
that up.
fact check
Okay,
that.
yeah, we'll have to fact check that one. Yeah. Anyway, let's call it a wrap right there for episode 32, Noah. Thank you to everyone, as always, for tuning in. We, as I say every week, the listenership on this show is it's so far beyond like what we hoped for or thought it would be when we started this thing. So we love and appreciate each and every one of you who tune in every week. We have a lot of fun doing it. We're going to keep grinding this content. Thank you so much once again to all our paid subs. You guys are the real MVPs. It's so sick that we have more and more people signing up for that every week. If you'd like to support the show and you haven't yet, just go to podcast.lobbingscorchers.com. You'll see a little heart button where you can choose how much to support: $3, $5, $10, whatever it may be. It really any amount of money at all means a lot to us, and we really appreciate all you guys.
And if you're extra lazy, there's a link in the podcast show description.
That
says support the show.
Like, comment, subscribe, write us a review on Apple. Do all that stuff. Tell your
all
friends,
that good stuff.
Tell your family, like all the standards.
Tell
stuff.
Sammy Sounder.
Tell everyone. But thanks for tuning in to episode 32. Until next time, we out.
Peace.